By my in die ateljee is directeur van kommunikasie van die SBi, John Dludlu. Hello, John.
Hi.
John, I see it in my own business, and this is a tough operating environment for SMEs. What makes it such a challenging environment?
Well, Divan, thank you for inviting us. Let's talk about the first things that we got right as a country first. For about more than 20 years, we've had a National Small Business Development Act legislation supported by the Chief Directorate of Small Business Development within the DTI. And for the last 5 years, we've had a Small Business Development standalone ministry and department. And in the NDP, we express a statement of aspiration that puts us in the same category as countries that have successfully tackled the scourge of unemployment, inequality, and poverty by saying that 90% of the jobs should come from small businesses by 2030. However, the results are different.
Yes.
Today, we have a situation where, according to an SBP study that we commissioned last year, it was commissioned by SBi, we have only 28% of the jobs created by 262 or 267,000 enterprises that are classified as SMEs. So in between government and big business segment of the economy, all the jobs, 90% of the jobs are coming from, 72% of the jobs are coming from there. So we are not getting the outcomes. Yeah. The Minister of Small Business Development, Minister Zulu, talks about 15.5 billion rand being earmarked by government for small business segment of the economy. However, the results are not there.
So let's talk about that. We think we've got SEDA that's supposed to be doing that so that the funds actually get into the hands of the small businesses. Why isn't it getting to small businesses?
One of the problems is that there is so much funding available, but access to it is not there. According to a study by the UCT Graduate School of Business, on access to finance, it talks about only about 13% of people in Gauteng know about SEDA, which is Small Enterprise Development Agency. It's one of the government agencies to support small business. In Cape Town, it's even less. Now, we are talking about the most industrialized parts of the country. What about in the outlying areas of the country? Okay. Of course, according to our small business project, our research partner, the red tape is one of the stifling factors. And we have very staggering stats as well, as far as that is concerned.
Yeah. One of those, you said that it takes us way too long to start operating a business. Why is it so difficult?
That's one of the things that we have to tackle. We're spending way too much time, small entrepreneurs, spending too much time complying with government regulations. For example, it takes as much as 9 working days. In other jurisdictions, for example, it doesn't take that long, first to set up a business and to comply. And I think this is one of the areas that the new administration needs to focus on.
So another thing is the fact that we actually don't really understand this market. You mentioned at one stage we thought that we had 6 million SMEs. Your study shows we've got 250,000 SMEs at the moment, or just over 250,000.
Yes.
Isn't that the problem? That there's no baseline, there's no real data that we can work with. Isn't that the gap?
That's the biggest problem that we have. So we all have figures, but these figures, we don't have common sets of figures. So what we're doing as SBi, as an organization, is we've commissioned something that we call is a small business landscape study or a baseline study that is going to establish exactly how many of the businesses are classified as small businesses, where are they, who owns them, and what are they contributing to the economy, so that we are targeting all the policy interventions correctly to what we know. Right now, everyone has got their own stats.
I want to talk about the informal economy. That's another part where people don't really understand how big this part of the economy is. SARS doesn't really even understand how big this part of the economy is. Do we understand how big it really is?
No, we don't. I think it's all a bit of a thumbs up, and that's quite scary from a policy-making point of view. that we're just going out there on the basis of what we can see, but there's so much that we don't see. The people who are not registered, we bumped into a stat last week at our Indaba from Gigi Alcock that the informal economy contributes as much as 80 billion rand every year, and 7 billion rand of that is in rental. But I don't think that is actually captured. So our biggest contribution to the national discourse and to how we actually achieve the aspiration of the NDP is by having the common facts so that we contribute to informed and evidence-based policy making.
Briefly, if there's one or two things that you could do today in order to change the lives of SMEs in the economy, what would that be?
I think the first one is both by government and big business segment, they should pay small entrepreneurs on time. There is absolutely no reason to wait after an invoice has been submitted to wait for more than 30 days. That's the first one. The second one is to simplify tax code. The Minister of Finance has been talking about it, and that's perfectly within his jurisdiction. Here's the last one, that every government minister must be a minister of small business. That's implementing Section 18 of the Small Business Act.
Fascinating discussions. We're definitely going to have you back. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ons is net na die breek oor elektriese motors in Suid-Afrika. Bly ingeskakel.